morning, welcome to Catex TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Friday, September 4th, 2015. There will be no broadcast this Monday, September 7th. It's Labor Day in the United States and a national holiday. If you want to follow us on Twitter, go to Catex TV. Guy Carpenter is saying that the loss to the insurance and reinsurance industry from the explosion in Tianjin, China, could reach as much as $3.3 billion. This would make the blast one of Asia's largest man-made loss events. Carpenter has published a report for its clients. The explosions are already certain to hit a number of reinsurance firms. The major reinsurers Munich Re and Swiss Re are expected to take a share of the losses, but it could trickle down to specialists, the Lloyd's of London market, and potentially to some insurance-linked security fund managers. The two massive initial explosions that occurred in the port of Tianjin on the 12th of August created a fireball and a shockwave that then blasted shipping containers, incinerated about 18,000 vehicles in the port, and also destroyed warehouses, production facilities, dormitories, part of the Donghai Road railway station, and blew out windows within residential structures for several miles in the area. The broker has been analyzing the site of the explosion using satellite imagery taken before and after the blasts. So this could be the beginning of finally some meaningful estimates. The numbers coming out of the local on-the-ground Chinese insurers have been very sketchy so far. One thing that's not sketchy is the American economic recovery. The American economy added 173,000 more jobs in August, a notoriously slow month. It drops the unemployment rate now down to 5.1%. This is pretty indicative. People think that the Federal Reserve is going to go ahead and raise interest rates when it meets later this month. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister David Cameron announced earlier today that England is going to take in thousands of more Syrian refugees. They've already brought in several hundred, but Cameron said, given the scale of the crisis and the suffering of the people, today I can announce that we will do more, providing resettlement for thousands more Syrian refugees. Commentators said that Cameron wants to avoid accusations that any new policies would encourage more refugees to take perilous journeys across the Mediterranean, perhaps risking their lives, and this way have them come directly into England. The move is a major shift for the Prime Minister, who is becoming under mounting pressure at home, with critics saying Britain is not doing enough to respond to the humanitarian crisis. Meetings in Turkey this weekend with the G20 finance ministers are going to be focusing on, guess who? China. How the Chinese officials are managing plans to calm the world's second biggest economy. China's turmoil, a souring global growth outlook, and the prospect of higher borrowing costs in the U.S. once interest rates go up are putting the worldwide recovery in some jeopardy. According to the South Korean finance minister, concerns about China's ability to counter a slump in financial markets are real. He said that viable alternatives, not rhetoric, need to be presented. China's handling or mishandling of its economy has raised some questions as to whether or not the Chinese have a handle on exactly what they're operating, a modern 21st century economy. One observer said, they look less like a smooth-oiled machine and more like they are making it up as they go along. This has unnerved some people. The U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, Jack Lew, talking about a transition from China from a managed economy to a market economy, said, the question is, are they managing that transition in an orderly and effective way? Japanese police are giving a warning to their citizens, warning them to be braced for an onslaught of violence following the breakup of one of the country's most infamous Yakuza gangs. The Yamaguchi Gumi, which previously had over 23,000 members and 72 affiliated gangs, confirmed in a meeting that 5 of its subsidiaries had been expelled from the group, while 8 more had been suspended. The 13 subsidiaries were exiled from the main group over voicing concern over gang boss Shinobu Tosaka's management when he failed to focus the organization's operations on the more lucrative Tokyo market. At present, the gang operates predominantly in Western Japan. Japan's National Police Agency has warned local forces to be vigilant to any outbreaks of violence as the exiled factions seek out their own dominant areas. We had to run that story. It sounds so much, almost like a quarterly report and executive pressures and board machinations, but it seems to be the same all over. Meanwhile, cleanup crews in the Mississippi River in Kentucky are going into the water right now as we speak to clean up leaking oil after a collision between two oil barges. There's a possibility that millions of gallons of oil are involved. Thus far, only several thousand gallons have leaked. Coast Guard said that yesterday the Mississippi River was closed from mile marker 922 up to 938. That's 16 miles just south of Kentucky. That's a pretty heavily trafficked area. In the United States, 3 weeks from right now, Pope Francis I will be here. He's visiting New York, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia. And here in the Philadelphia area, the city is basically going into lockdown. Huge portions of the downtown area are going to become frozen zones. People are being encouraged to leave the area, stay at the homes of friends. The Pope's visit is going to include a Mass at Madison Square Garden in New York, a visit to the White House, as well as a Mass at Catholic University in Washington, and a Mass on the Independence Mall in Philadelphia. It's going to be quite a scene, and preparations are well underway. Philadelphia radio stations and TV stations have been talking about it for weeks. So we better be getting ready for it as well. That's the news for today. It's a 3-day weekend in the U.S. We'll see you again on Tuesday. Thank you for watching.